How's it going? My name is Hoiman, and this week has been. At first, it was going pretty well. Like I went on holiday and stuff, but today it's been bit scary, really. Like I went through something that was pretty life-threatening, I guess, in a way, and just overall, just put me really on edge. But before that, I like to just start off with the beginning of the week. So on Monday, I went down to Newquay with my mum and friends, and it was a very long journey. Like we had to wake up really early and got an early bus, and then went down on coach all the way down to Newquay, and that took 10 hours. It was just really long day, long drive, just very exhausting, but overall it was quite nice down there. Like I've been to Newquay before, but I was only very briefly and never really got to explore too much of it. But this time I went down for the week, so I managed to take in the scenery a lot more, check out new parts of Newquay, and yeah, overall it's a very nice and enjoyable experience. I mean, there were some downs here and there, but overall it was quite a nice experience. So first off, we got to the hotel and then unpacked our things in our room, and then just went down to dinner really. And the hotel we stayed at, I wouldn't say like the food was really all that great. Like the portions were very small, and a lot of times very tasteless as well. Like the vegetable just didn't really have any flavor. The main dishes were very small portioned, and just again, just very like, some of it was quite soggy, while others were just merely not enough really. Just overall the food wasn't all that great, but I mean, can't really complain too much. And then on Tuesday morning we went to Padstow for half a day, and we went down to the harbour and then just went up the mountainside and looked down at the scenery, and that was about it really for Padstow. And then after that we went to have fish and chips for lunch, and it was actually alright. Like the fish was nice, but the chips were a bit dry and stale. But overall it was still quite a nice meal. And then after, for the rest of the day, we went down to Port Isaac, which is another harbour, and it was on the very edge of the coast, so it's very hilly, and yeah, there wasn't a whole lot there, but overall it was quite a nice scenery down there. And then on the Wednesday we had a free day, so me, my mum and our friends decided to go to Truro, which is a city, which is the main landmark of Cornwall, and it's mainly just a city down there. And I don't know, like I always feel that every city is kind of similar in a lot of ways. Like the layout is always somewhat similar, all the shops and stuff are the same most of the time. So overall I found Truro a bit like boring to be in, really. Like it was just the same shops that you kind of see anywhere, and it wasn't even a seaside or anything, so there wasn't really any scenery to take in. So overall it was a bit boring really. But we only went there for half a day, and then we went back to Newquay and we decided to go around the coast. Went down to the beach to look at the house on the single rock, and the first time I went there the water was really full, so we didn't even get to walk on the sand, but this time it was really shallow, so we walked around on the sand, took in more pictures of the house, and then just overall had a very nice and scenic experience in Newquay. We went to Falmouth. Again, it's another little small town by the coast, and there's a small harbour down there as well, and there wasn't a whole lot to do there, but at the same time it was very nice to take in. And for lunch we had fish and chips again, but this time it was at a award-winning place, and although the meals are much more expensive than the usual dishes you have, it was actually really nice. Like, the fish was really well done. The chips were a bit stale again, but the fish was just really nice, and it was unlimited chips and salad as well, so we made the most of it and just ate as much as we could, really. I mean, for that price of like £15 a dish, it's expensive, but at the same time you get quite a lot of value from it. So, and then after that, we unfortunately, part of the excursion of the trip was to go to Truro, and we didn't know that, so we ended up going to Truro again, and it was even more boring this time. Like, because we've already walked around the day before, there wasn't really anywhere else to go, so we just kind of sat in a cafe and just kind of waited there until time was up. So, and then on the Friday we had to wake up really early and made the trip back home, and that took about somewhere around between 10 to 12 hours. It just felt longer coming back home for some reason, but yeah, that's overall experience down in Newquay, and like I said, overall it was a very nice and scenic experience. And then on the morning going down to Falmouth, there was a little sort of ruffle with the times. Like, I could have, because it's part of the excursions, we have times for when we go out and come back. And on the Monday, when our bus driver was giving us times for excursions, I'm pretty sure he said 9:15 to go to Falmouth. But apparently, my mum and many other friends kept saying 9:30. So I just assumed that I heard him wrong, and then it is actually 9:30. And then during breakfast on Thursday, after breakfast, my friend, because there were 11 of us altogether, 5 of us were on one table, whereas another 6 was another table just opposite. And as they finished their breakfast and started to get up to get ready to go, one of my friends on my table asked them 4 times, is it 9:30? Is the trip going out at 9:30? But everyone just ignored him, so we still all assumed it was 9:30. So we waited in our rooms until about 9:20, and then we started going down. And then as we walked out the hotel, the bus driver was already sort of driving away in the bus, but as soon as he saw us come out, he stopped and then came back out and then sort of looked at us with quite a frustrated face. He was kind of shouting, "Come on, you're late, get on." We were both like, "What?" And then me and my mum got on the coach, and then everyone on the bus was kind of looking at us awkwardly, like, because we were obviously late. And then my mum said, "Isn't it 9:30?" But some people at the front said, "No, it's 9:15. So, and then 2 people from the table that was sitting with me just got on moments before us, and they were already late because they got on about 9:20. And the 6 people, our 6 other friends on the table, were already on the bus for, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. And the 2 friends that got on before us asked them, "It's actually 9:15, can you ask them to call us to say that we're late?" And then they just kind of replied that, they can't find their phones, or they don't have our numbers, which it's obviously a lie because we all have each other's numbers and all our phones are, all in our possession. So they purposely didn't want to call us to say we're late. So it's like it just made that awkward barrier between us. Like at breakfast, they ignored us, and then on the bus, they didn't even bother to call us. So it's like, well, what kind of friends are they then if they're going to act like that? I mean, it just made. I mean, I'm sure they have their reasons for being that way, or for whatever reason it happened that way, but I just can't help but feel that it's just created this sort of barrier between us. Like, what can I really see them as friends if they're going to be like that or something? But I mean, like I said, I'm sure there was some reason or something happened that made them do with their actions, but I guess I'll never really know what the full story is behind it. But from my side, that's just how it felt like. And after that, we got on, but there was still one more person, and that was our fifth friend. And as soon as we sat down, my mum started calling him immediately, saying he was late. And the driver started putting the gear on for the bus, and then we all started shouting, "Oh, we've still got one more left." And then the driver's like, "We can't hold out anymore, we have to go." And then he started taking off, and then my friend picked up my mum's call and then said he was late, and the bus driver was not willing to stay to wait for him, just a few more seconds for him to come out. So he ended up having to take another bus that was behind us, luckily. Like, if it wasn't for that bus behind us, he would have been left at Newquay all on his own. So luckily for him, he managed to get on the bus behind us and followed us closely behind. So I mean, it worked out in the end, but this wouldn't have happened if those friends would have just answered if it was 9:15 or 9:30. Like, I don't know, it's just kind of created this barrier for me between them. Like, can I really see them as friends? But like I keep saying, I'm sure they had their reasons for whatever it was, so I can't really keep dwelling on it. Like, I mean, one of the things I always try to tell myself in recent times is, rather than dwell on it, learn from it. So there's no point in dwelling on it, worrying about it, and keep hating on it. Like, I've done that for many years, but recently, about late last year, like, I started telling myself, don't dwell on it, but learn from it. So learn for it for the next time and improve myself forward. So that's what I just got to keep trying to do, really. But yeah, so overall the holiday was quite nice and scenic to take in, but like I said, there were a bit downs here and there, particularly on Thursday, but like I said, overall it was quite a nice holiday. And today I've been continuing my story again, mainly on the drawings and stuff and touching up some areas, but while doing so, this is what I said from the beginning, while doing so, I started having this really weird pain. Like, I was getting like some stomach pains, which isn't too unusual because it's quite common for me. But as I was working, like, the pain kind of went up to my chest, and then it started kind of constricting. Like, my chest started feeling really tight and really uncomfortable as well, and it felt like it was really being squeezed, and then I also started having difficulty breathing, like really shortness of breath, and then my back, which is right behind my chest in the same kind of area, also started hurting. It was just kind of coming to the point where it's almost become unbearable. So I just kind of had to stop what I was doing and just kind of take a step back and sit down and kind of regain my breathing. Like, even now, I still got a bit of chest pain, and I'm finding it really, a lot of the times I'm having shortness of breath, and during it I was kind of feeling like, oh man, am I having a heart attack and stuff? And I mean, I don't know if, like, because I know heart attacks are more common with like older age, but because I'm only 29, I'm just wondering, uh, am I able to get heart attacks at this age? I mean, unfortunately, I think you can, but it's just sent a massive pressure of anxiety through me, really. Like going, oh man, am I having a heart attack? Am I gonna die today? Is this really happening? Sort of thing. Like it just really freaked me out, really, and I was just kind of having a lot of anxious thoughts and conflicting emotions, really. It was just a very scary experience, and even now I hope it isn't a heart attack. I mean, if I do get it again, I've definitely got to call for a doctor and stuff, but I just really hope it wasn't what I thought it was. Yeah, it's just really shivers down for me today. It's just a very scary experience, and because every day I always worry if I'm gonna live long or if I'm gonna actually die today and stuff. And having this experience today is just, it's kind of just revived and reminded me of how much I'm actually fearing for my own safety and stuff. And it's just kind of reminded me again of how precious and valuable life is. I always tell myself not to take anything for granted. Every day is a very lucky moment for me. I'm very lucky to be here still every day, and having this experience has just reminded me even more not to take anything for granted and always treasure life, really. So yeah, I mean, so for the whole week it was quite a nice experience, and then today all of a sudden it's just kind of reversed, really, just really scary experience. But on a more positive side today, I did actually join a mental health, anxiety and depression community on Facebook, and it's a place where people with similar mental health problems come together to talk about their problems or share ideas, share stories, share helpful advice with each other. It's just another place for me to express my feelings and talk about my mental health and hear other people's mental health as well. And during across the week while I was on holiday, I've also been in contact with my childhood friend, and he's told me that he has a close friend as well who also suffers from mental health. And he says that recently his friend stopped taking his medication early this year, uh, due to his choice, and he says he's been feeling very positive from it. And he says that his depression has actually healed significantly. He's still going through some anxiety problems, but he says that his depression has lifted a lot. So, and he even thanked my childhood friend for supporting him, for being a friend there, hearing him out without judgment, and just overall supporting him. And hearing that someone who's healed a lot from mental health does send a warm feeling through me. Like, it kind of tells me that mental health, although it's a big struggle and it's difficult to live with, it can be overcome. So it gives me a bit more positivity to keep pushing forward, and maybe one day, hopefully, I'll get a lot better as well in the future. So I think that's it for this week. So down to Newquay, it was a very nice and scenic experience, but today it's just kind of done a U-turn really on heart problems I've been having today, and just being reminded again of how precious life is. So, and hearing that someone else has overcome his depression is a very positive news, and me joining a mental health Facebook group is also hopefully a positive action. So quite eventful this week, and I guess at the end of it all, it's just made me very exhausted as well. So, but now that I'm back home, hopefully things will start slowing down a bit, and then maybe I can hopefully get back on to continuing on my book. So yeah, I think that's it for this week. So hopefully I'll see you next Saturday. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, always look forward, keep hope alive, and remember, you're somebody.